Good morning.
Good morning, Rinpoche. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome back, everyone, to this precious teaching on the Four Ordinary Foundations by our venerable teacher, Ringu Rinpoche. And we'll begin today's session, as yesterday, by setting a proper motivation with the help of the preliminary prayers. Miriam, please.
Oe palensa we lama rinpoche nagi chiwo pere denshuna kadrin chenpe gone jesonte kuson to ching rup sadhu so. Refuge in bodhicitta, twice in Tibetan and once in Hebrew. Oi sanje chudan sache chanamla chanchu padu dani chapsam she dagi jinso jipe sananje drola pinche sanje dropa Sanje chudan saje chanana chanchu padu dani chapsu che dagi jinso jipe sananje drola pinche sanje drupasho Babuddha, Badharma ובקהילה העילאית. אבקש מקלט עד להערה, באמצעות המצבורים של נדיבות וכולי, לו אשיג בודהיות כדי להועיל ליצורים הנודדים. Four limitless contemplations, twice in Tibetan and once in Hebrew. Semchen tamche dewa dande weju danden pashurshik dunga dan dunga jishu dantra washurshik dunga me pede watam padan nindra washurshik Yerincha dania dantrawe tanyon chen pola ne parjur shik sem chen tamche dewa dande weju danden parjur shik dunga dan dunga jiju dantra washur shik Dunga me pede watan padan hindra shik Yerincha danya danchawe tanyon chen pola ne shik Lu kol בעלי התודעה ידעו עושר וסיבות לעושר. לו ישתחררו מסבל ומן הסיבות לסבל. לו לא ייפרדו אף פעם מאושר שאין בו שמץ סבל. לו יהיו שרויים בשוויונות, חופשיים מהיקשרות ומדחייה.
So, thank you very much. So, yesterday we were discussing samsara, and so first of all, we need to look into ourselves and whether we are in this samsaric state of mind or not. And also we can look around and see whether all the people around us are in the samsaric state of mind. And if we are in the samsaric state of mind, then we need to understand that there are lots of negative emotions, there are lots of negative habitual tendencies, there is lots of delusion. So therefore, there will be problems, there will be sufferings. People in the world also act, they act in the way they should not act. And we also have feelings and reactions that we should not act and react like that. So therefore we are in this, what we call the ocean of samsara, ocean of suffering problem. We make conflicts, we make wars, we have all sorts of disturbances and unpeaceful states of mind. So we need to try to work on it. We need to try to change it. And when we also see the people who act in this way, instead of getting upset and angry and, hateful and kind of, instead of hating them, we should feel like, what can I do to change this situation? As long as we are in this situation, there will be constantly problem and suffering and pain that we inflict on each other and ourselves too. So it is important that we work on that, on myself and slowly on others also, and that I need to transform that. I need to transform that state of mind in myself. I need to transform others, help others also to transform. And if that can be done, that would be the most important thing to do. So that kind of, that helps us to understand the world, to understand the situation of the samsara, and also would like to generate more wisdom and more compassion so that this melody that we have in the world can slowly be transformed. Now this is the first one, the samsara. So we live in samsara and so therefore, maybe we can talk about karma the next, because usually it's that way. Karma is that, how we, what I am, the way I am, how I react, where I am, in what situation I am, is because of all the causes and conditions that was created in my past. So, what kind of, that's why we say that, what I was in the past, like what kind of life I had in the past. We don't need to ask a kind of an astrologer or some kind of a seer to find out. We find out how we are now, and we will find out what kind of life we had before. Because what we are now is the continuation and the causes and conditions the same way in the past. So, like if, what kind of, how do I react now? The way I react, the way I am, the way I think, the way I see, the way I do things, how I am, is because of my past. So therefore, my past was not something totally different from what I am now, because what I am now is because of the past. How I did yesterday, what kind of life I lived yesterday is making this today. So therefore, what I will be tomorrow is also how I live today. So therefore, like the way I am is everything that I have, has the effect of everything that I did in the past. Maybe not just in my childhood, not just in my past life, but all the things that I have experienced is making me what I am now. Not, even just like, this morning, even this morning, if I didn't have any breakfast or something like that, then I will be more hungry and I'll be a little bit more more angry, maybe, less peaceful, less happy. If I had a good breakfast, I will be much more nicer. So the same way, everything that happened to me till now is because of my past. That's my karma. I am at the way I am in the present moment is the result of my past, and therefore is the result of my karma. This is my karmic body now. So then, how do I go forward? Now, if I want to be in the same way, I act in the same way, I react in the same way, I think in the same way, I do exactly the same way, I will remain same way. But if I want to change, I want to change a little bit for the better. I want to learn and practice, a little bit more kindness, more compassion, understand things a little bit better, increase or develop my wisdom a little bit, I can become better. If I want to make myself worse, again, same way, I can make myself worse. But I always have the impact of all the past, I cannot just completely become something totally different. So that's why, we are like that. We have the, like the effect of the past, everything that we have gone through with all the past. I want to become something totally different immediately. I cannot, because that effect cannot be totally erased just like that, because it's on me. But sometimes people say karma, oh, it's kind of, you cannot, it's already like bad up, or it's already decided, so I cannot do anything to change it. That's not, from Buddhist point of view, that's not the idea. It's changing all the time, and I can change all the time. If I really want to change, I can change. I want to become better, I can become better. If I want to become worse, I can become worse. If I want to remain the same, but of course, there is the effect of the past also. So therefore, I have the possibility to transform myself, because there's nothing stable, there's nothing, this is it kind of thing. Everything is already decided by somebody up in the sky or somewhere. Nobody decides anything about my future. My own actions decide. It doesn't mean that all the things that happen to me and all the things I have done have no effect on me that we have done before. Of course, it has effect on me. So therefore, if I have to transform, I can transform, but it's not necessarily happens immediately. I have to transform all the things, that negative things that I have, my habitual tendencies, my misunderstandings, all the kind of the way I am is where I am now. So it needs to be changed, and to transform that is not necessarily easy, because that's like my addiction. If I am addicted with some kind of a drug, or some bad habits, for just few months or few years, how difficult it is for me to transform that. Even if I'm addicted with chocolate, I become quite addicted with that, and I can't just let it go. I can change, but it takes time. So in the same way, to transform myself is also, we need to use our intelligence, our wisdom. We need to have awareness. We need to practice. We need to have mindfulness. We need to change. We need to make efforts. And then it's possible to change. So therefore, what do I want? What do I want for the future? What kind of person I want to become? What kind of future I want to create? So that, then you need to understand the cause and effect. And if I create more, like positive experiences, positive emotions, positive habitual tendencies, then I would probably become more and more like that. So therefore, for my own good and for the good of others, I need to work on that. That's when I understand this, if I start to feel more, peaceful, a little bit more generous, a little bit more kind, and try to see things more clearly, how I am, how everything is, then maybe I will act and react slightly differently, a little bit more kinder, more nicer. So that will become my personality can change. That's the main understanding of the karma, is that my personality can change. So therefore, but I have to make the effort. I have to do it myself. So therefore, it's not that the karma is not a reward or a punishment. It's not that I please somebody and then they do something and then I transform. That's not what understanding of karma is from the Buddhist point of view. What I do and how I become and how I transform myself and how I actually change for the better or for worse also myself is how the karma works. So if I understand karma, then I have to do it myself. There's nobody. So therefore, I can't blame anybody the way I do and where I am. Also, I cannot just ask somebody to do it for me because, of course I can be helped. I can be influenced. I can get good influence and that makes me a better person. If I get negative influence, then I can become worse. So the environment where I am, what kind of role model I have, of course, changes how I become. So therefore, it's important to find a good moral model, to understand what kind of actions is positive, what kind of actions is negative. Actions does not mean only doing something. Actions, it can be actions of the body, but actions of the speech, actions of the mind. Mind is even more important, how I feel, how I react, The karma, the strongest karmic kind of influence is my own emotions, because that's the most strongest reaction in myself. So how I, what actions and reactions of myself, my mind, my body, my speech are positive, and what is negative, I need to understand. And if I understand this through my wisdom, then I need to learn and train to try to, try to more what I understand as positive, and less what I understand as negative, and that's karma. So therefore, from this point of view, the more you understand the way things are, the more you understand how things are, and what the truth, reality of the situation, the more I understand and I have better connection with my karma. And so therefore, it becomes very important for me that I need to act and react in a more positive way, because that's the best for myself and the best for everybody, best for me now and best for me in the long run. So it's not that, somebody did something to me, so I must react in a bad way. Somebody has been angry with me, so I must be angry with that person because I have the right to be. Of course, I have the right to be. There's nobody who can say that you cannot do that. But if I do that way, then what kind of person I become? If I react always with anger and hatred and greed and all kind of negative things, I become more and more like that. So therefore, it's not useful. It's not good. It's not necessary. So therefore, even if I'm in a situation where people are not kind, people do negative things, even then, if I understand a little bit this karma, how karma affects, I try to be, I need to be, I want to be, not affected by this circumstantially only, but I react and act what I understand as something that is positive. So therefore, to clearly see the effect of my own way of doing is very important from this point of the view, how I understand, how I see. Because if I see that, then I also will be more clear what actions are useful, good, beneficial for myself and others, and what actions are not good or bring suffering and pain for myself and others. So that's why, to try to understand or to become more and more clear about this, and then reflect on that, and becomes very important, because that actually makes the difference how I become. So that's why karma is very important. It's not just a belief. It's not a belief. It's really understand the effect of my own actions and reactions. So this is karma. And then, now if we go through these four foundations, one of the important thing, actually usually we talk about this, the first, with the precious human life. This is to kind of to appreciate, try to appreciate the way I am, what I have, good things, what I have, It's not necessarily saying that human life is the most kind of the best possible life, in the whole universe. But since we are humans, and there are lots of positive things being a human, and try to understand that, trying to reflect on that, is important, because otherwise, I would, we always look at things in a comparative way, So I will always find my life worse than lots of other, the place I am, the life situation that I have, I am not that, everything that, there are lots of people who is richer than me. There's lots of people who are more powerful than me. There are lots of people who are more beautiful than me. There are lots of people who are more, living luxuriously than me. There are lots of people who are much more like in every different ways better than me. And then if I look at that and say, I am very bad, I'm totally useless, I'm totally, I am, very unhappy. I can make myself unhappy very easily. I can make myself totally like, everything is a problem, everything is kind of much worse than I expected. I can be totally overwhelmed by this. And most of us have that habit also, We can get some problem, sometimes even a little problem. And then if we kind of only think about that and hold on, focus only on that problem can totally disturb my mind. And now something happened, and then I'm focusing on that. I can't get rid of it. I can't get rid of it. Then another problem comes, and again I focus on it. After some time, I think that I have nothing but problems. I was telling a story recently. I read somewhere. It's not, I think, coming from Buddhist terms. That there was somebody who had lots of problems. His business was not going well. Something happened, everything. There are lots of it. He had like 10 big problems in his life. And he was very, very unhappy and totally, depressed. And he couldn't do anything. He was like going worse and worse and worse, about to just kind of break down. And he had a friend who wanted to help him. But he couldn't because, he was so involved in this and he was so focused on these problems. He had 10 big problems and he would always ask, how can I solve 10 of these problems? And nobody could solve his 10 problems. And then one time, his friend found that there is somebody coming from outside, supposed to be a wise man. And many people were going to get his advice. And he said, I heard this man has come from outside and he's supposed to be wise and he can advise people in a good way. Why don't you go? He said, no, I can't. I don't want to go. It's too much. Nobody can solve my problems. And his friend said, but just go and see him. I'll take you there. It's not a big, it's very near and not a big difference. It can't harm you. So, just see, So at the end, he could persuade him to go to see this man. So he went to see this man, and this man was kind of in a room which was kind of very simple, nothing extraordinary. And then he told him that I have these 10 problems, and I'm totally, very upset and very depressed and things like that. Can you give me some advice how to get rid of these 10 problems? And this man said, can you see color? He was upset. He was not very happy. He said, I can see color. That's not my problem. My eyesight is quite okay. Then he said, how many red things there are in my room? He says, I told you that's not my problem. I can see very well. If you have something to say about my 10 problems, then I am ready. But if you don't know this, then you don't need to go around and ask me to colors. I can see, I all told you. That's not my problem. He says, count how many red things in my room. He just completely, very quickly counted. And he says, there are 10 red things in your room, but that's not my problem. Don't try to bluff me like that. I'm going if you don't know anything about my problems. Then he said, how many blue things I have in my room? He got really upset and angry. He said, I told you that's not my problem. I don't know how many blue things in your room, but I'm not going to count them. It's foolish. Then he said, how many, how you have 10 big problems, but how many good things you have in your life? He said, oh, there could be some good things in my life also, but that's not my problem. My problem is my problems, and I have 10 big problems, and I want to know how to solve these problems. He said, yes, but you counted red things in my room, and you found there are 10. You didn't count how many blue things in my room, so you don't know how many good things in my room. You always count your problems, so therefore you know very well your problems. You have 10 big problems. But you don't know how many positive things and good things in your life because you never counted. He said, well, there are some good things in my life. He said, just go back and count them and then come tomorrow. So he went and he counted and he counted and he came back next morning. He says, actually, I have lots of good things in my life. I have more than 10 good things in my life. I have many good things. But I kind of never thought of counting them because, they were not a problem. I was only counting my problems because that was. So he said, that's your problem, he said. You only count your problems, and therefore you are always focusing on them, and then that they totally ruin your life. Some of them maybe you will slowly overcome, some of them maybe you have to live with them, but you have so many good things and you don't appreciate them and you don't even know that they are there. So then you will not enjoy having them. So he understood something from there, and then he started to think of the good things that he has and start to appreciate them more. And when he started to appreciate all the good things that he had, he started to feel that actually his life is not as bad as he thought it was. So therefore, slowly these 10 big problems didn't become the the greatest problems, and he had also some good things. So therefore, he could be a little bit more relaxed, and then slowly he could also solve most of his problems. So that's how we are, we are very much focused on the problems and bad things and sufferings. And so therefore, our life is sometimes only problems, we think. But that's because our focus is only on the problems we have. So therefore, it's very essential and very important that we need to also think and count and focus on every little positive things that we have, because if we appreciate our positive side, is, we actually feel the effect of that positive side. If we don't focus on that, we don't appreciate that. When we don't appreciate that, we kind of, as if we don't have them. So therefore, to appreciate our life, we as a human being, we have lots of, we have a little bit of wisdom, we can see, we can understand what is right, what is wrong. We have the capacity to do, to feel, to even transform how we see, how we act, how we react. Even if we have nothing, we are the most poor, we don't have much freedom of movement or freedom of speech or freedom of many different kind of luxuries. If we don't have, we have our, we have certain faculties in ourselves. We have a mind, we have intelligence, we have some things that we can actually do with ourselves. We can be kind. Nobody can stop us being kind. We can understand. We can learn. Nobody can stop us from learning. We can feel good about everything. We can have compassion. So therefore, when we know these things, we understand these things, we appreciate, we can make friends, So if we can appreciate of our own positive things, and we human beings has lots of positive side. We can speak, we can understand, we can do things with our hands, even if we are totally totally kind of most destitute, we still has lots of powers, lots of intelligence, lots of, we are human beings. So therefore, when we appreciate that, then we can feel that we can do something. We can transform. If we want, we can transform. All this samsaric state of mind is something that we can actually transform. And therefore, we can bring more positive things, more peace, more tranquility, more joy, more kindness, more compassion, more wisdom in ourselves. That's something that we can do within ourselves. So if we can do that, we are very fortunate. We have much more fortune than lots of other people, other beings. So therefore, when we understand this, then our life is not something, worthless, not something useless. You know, sometimes people I have seen, I have heard people like talking, you know, the world is going very bad because there's environment is going very bad. There's so much corruption in the world. Everybody, all the, you know, everybody is doing negative things, and you know, uh, there's there's everything is there's no future in this world, so there's no use living a life, you know. I don't want to live on this earth anymore. Some people say like that, but that's, you know, if you think like that, it is like that, you know? But if you think another way, that's yes, there are lots of problems in the world, but there has always been problems in the world, you know, because it's a samsara. It's not the world that is the problem, it's the samsara, our state of mind. When was it in the history of human beings where there was no war, where there was no, you know, where there was no conflict, where there was no, you know, no problems, where there was no all kind of different kind of negative things. You know, it was always there. At every generation, there was also lots of problems. You know? But how I live my life is not just because it's like that. How I live is, you know, every generation, they were very good people, they were very kind people, they were very positive people. There was very, very, you know, great people every time. Many. So therefore, why can't we also follow them and learn from them and live like them, you know? It is not impossible that we can also influence other beings and create nice, very nice family around us, nice community around us, nice country among, and also nice world. You know, it's not that totally impossible, but it is possible that I can become much more positive, much more, you know, much more peaceful, much more joyful, much more positive. And I should do that, you know. How long I live, I cannot say. But how I live today, it's in my hands. You know? So therefore, to appreciate all the positive things that is there in my life is, you know, is very important, you know. And then the value of my life in my own eyes grow, you know. Of course, if you look deeply from Buddhist point of view, we said that all of us has the Buddha nature, but that's a little bit different, you know. If you can see that, it's even more. Even if we don't see that, we have lots of positive things, and of course, negative things also, you know. So that's precious human life, and it's very important because if one starts to kind of reflect and understand and see and feel few and many, you know, uh, positive things in my life, and I can appreciate that. My I could feel much better. I could feel much better, and when I feel better, I can also be more more better. I can become more kind. I can become more nice. I can do something, not only for myself. I can do something very good for myself. I can even transform myself from some psychic state of mind. But I can also help others. So if I have that I have that, I have the capacity to live, in a good way, positive way, kind way, nice way, as long as I live. And I also have the capacity to kind of to bring that to other people. If I feel like that, I become useful. I become beneficial. I become powerful. I become, a kind of, I become myself. I see myself somebody who is capable, and 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 I can kind of enjoy my life and do something that I know is going to be useful and helpful to myself and others. And if I know a little bit clearly that I can actually completely transform myself, then I have even much stronger, much, I can feel myself very fortunate. And also, if I can do that, then I can also help others to do that. And then I have a mission. I have, a very clear and strong, uh, aspiration. I can become a bodhisattva. So therefore, to be able to, starting to appreciate my life, whatever kind of life you have, that's important. That's why precious human life, you see. And then impermanence. The impermanence is another thing which, which is in one way very easy to understand, and in another way very difficult to understand or experience. It is easy because it's very obvious, everything is changing all the time. There's nothing which doesn't change. If it is something that's there, it can change. It would change. There's nothing that didn't change because it's made of so many elements, so many, it's all interdependent entity, So it has to change. It will change. Even my life changes, and changes very quickly. I don't know, how I'll be tomorrow, We cannot definitely say that I will be there tomorrow alive. It's very clear. It's very, very clear. But we don't want to believe that. We don't want to know. But this impermanent is not only something about the bad thing happening. It's also about good things. Bad things, if we are in a good situation, that can change and become worse. But something good can come also. If we are in a bad situation, that can also go away, and that's also possible. Anything can happen anytime. So therefore, you cannot be totally hopeless because everything changes. There's nothing which does not change. when we first came to India, from Tibet, we were, our situation was quite hopeless, like in my family, my father later said, he didn't say that time, he had only 5 rupees. He had nothing more than 5 rupees, Indian rupees. I don't know, 5 rupees would get what you would get at that time. That time it was stronger than now, but nothing too much, But we didn't die of hunger, we survived. We not only survived, we are quite well off now, I think, So therefore, it was, we couldn't imagine when my family, like built their first house where we had like running water and electricity. Everybody was so astonished and, so, like totally, because, we never expected that we could have a house with running water and electricity. Before we were living in a place where, we had to walk 2 miles, 2 kilometers to get water. So I learned how to wash my face and teeth and everything in 2 mouthful of water. Because I read somewhere that in desert areas, people use very little water, and with 2 mouthful, you can wash everything. I did that, and it was working actually. And there was no electricity, of course. There was no toilet, of course, and but I learned how to make Gandhiji's toilet, so that was later on okay. But it was like that. So therefore, things can change. Everything can change. Of course, change for better also, but change for worse also. Because that's the life. The life is like that. Everything. So, do we have time to just, do negative things, make, fight and harm each other? And, why? There's nothing. Why do we have to fight each other? Why do we have to? We don't have to kill each other. We will die by ourselves. So therefore, when we understand impermanence, one thing is that, we have to make, we have to see very clearly that this life is very temporary. So therefore, little problems should be just ignored. It's not worthwhile to kind of make a big deal about this small problems, small things like that, Yeah. So therefore, like somebody said that, ordinary people, if somebody did something not so nice to you, they take revenge. You take revenge. And then an intelligent person would forgive. A wise person will ignore. I like this very much, we usually, somebody said something, I get very upset, and somebody did something, and I want to do something bad to that person and things like that. I make myself totally unhappy, and I create all the negative things for others also. Why? There's no need to do that. Create problem for myself, create problem for others, create problem for the whole world. It's not necessary. So I can forgive. Forgive means not that I understand or I say it is good, but it's not worth holding on to that, even if somebody did something, it's not worth holding on to that, because if I hold on to that, then I keep that negative thing in me all the time, whether it's hatred, whether it's anger, whether it's any kind of negative feeling. It's eating myself. I I hold poison. So, if I have poison in myself and I keep it, then I suffer from that. If I let it go, then I become free of that. So wanting to, kind of take revenge or holding on to that negative experience or feeling or emotion is hurting myself. So to let it go is forgive. I don't want to bother myself with holding on to that. So I let go. That's forgiveness. But even better than that is ignore, because, of course, people are samsaric people. They have lots of misunderstanding. They have lots of, ignorance. So therefore, they do lots of negative things, say lots of negative things. If I have to think about all of those things, it's wastage of my time, and it's not worth it. So therefore, whatever they do, I'm not going to hold on to any of them. I want to live in a positive way, in a kind way, compassionate way, peaceful way, joyful way, So if I do that, then it's best for me. And it's also best for everybody, because, uh, I didn't do anything negative. So therefore, to understand impermanence is sometimes very useful, very, very useful, because, even something bad happens, you don't become totally like pessimistic, because, yes, bad things happen, but that's not permanent. That's temporary. That's impermanent. Everything is impermanent. So therefore, anything can change, especially if you know how to do something, it can be changed. So even maybe I can change it myself. So therefore, there's nothing to be totally upset. And so this way, and also, if you are in a good way, also things can happen. But so therefore, we have to live, we have to live loving each other, treating each other badly, positively, kindly, because, we may not see each other after this. If we have loved ones, friends, and people like family and things, you never know, how long I live. So I don't know whether I'll be able to see them next time or not. So therefore, I have to live as if we have to love each other. We have to be nice to each other. We have to be kind to each other as if there is no tomorrow. So therefore, when we understand this, we can understand and live much better, less worry. There's no use worrying. There's no use worrying. There's no use fearing also, because you never know what will be the future. Nobody says that, this negative thing didn't happen because I worried enough. However worried you do, it doesn't make things better. It just make you unhappy all the time. Disturb your mind all the time. So therefore, why worry? There's no use. No need to fear, because, if I fear too much, then I suffer. Fear is suffer. But you never know what will happen, I have to do whatever is possible to make things better. I will do everything that's possible to make things secret. I will do everything that is possible, and then I cannot do more than that. So therefore, if I have to go through something very bad, I have to go through it. There's no way, So fearing now and worrying now is not going to help there. So therefore, if we worry less, fear less, because we know that anything can happen, but nothing we cannot exactly know what will happen, then we become ready for whatever, So if we are ready for whatever, we become, kind of a more stable person. And also, if you understand, understand impermanence, that's actually one step towards understanding the ultimate nature of everything. From Buddhist point of view, everything is interdependent. Everything is emptiness in nature, actually, at the end, ultimately. So when you know impermanence, it's one step into that, because impermanence is not something, that when things change, we know things change. But when does things change? In every day, once a hour, once a minute, once a second. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like this changes only once after. There's nothing like that. It keeps on changing all the time. When things are changing all the time, then when does these things actually truly exist? There's no time that things truly exist. So its nature is emptiness. Yeah. So you understand this, it's a step further. So therefore, these four foundations, four thoughts, is actually one of the most important things. It's foundation. It's called foundation. And foundation is the most important thing. If you don't have a foundation, then you cannot build a house, no? So therefore, it's something, if we have this understanding and this reflection and this kind of clarity, then you become, it's everything becomes easy. Everything, you are prepared for, the further transformation, and itself will make you a more clear, more stable, more, understanding person. It also can completely transform your life. So therefore, it's not, sometimes it's said to be preliminary, but this preliminary is not like something you do and then finished and then done away with, and then you get into something that's more important. It's not like that. These are foundations, really very at the basis of everything. So therefore, in one way, it's easy to understand. In another way, it's not so easy because we usually do not kind of focus on this kind of things. So therefore, it's not common. It's something for most of the people in the West, especially, it's a little bit foreign. But we need to think about this and understand. It's not something that you believe. It's something you understand. If you just believe, it's no use. You have to understand. I think I'll just stop here. And any questions? I saw there was one. Yes. Yes, thank you. Tammy.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to ask you, I want to live in a peaceful way, as you suggested, and I want to work on the transformation of my mind. That's what I want to do. But what to do in the face of wrongdoings of my group? If we talk about karma and the group karma, and can I just do my own thing, work on my own transformation of the mind without being involved in these wrongdoings that I see that my group is doing? If I'm not doing anything in face of this, it's if like I'm part of it. And then I'll get this karma, this bad karma also, because I didn't resist. I was so involved in my own practice and my own working on my mind. So in this dilemma, what would you suggest to Rinpoche?
Generally, Dharma practice is something that you do within yourself. So it's something you have to do yourself. You cannot do with other people, because it's how I feel, how I react, how I, use my emotions. That only you can do. It's not something done in a group. But of course, we are, human beings. Human beings are social animals. So, if we do things together, we have to do lots of things together. We have to live together. We have to, be in the society. So you can participate also. You can participate in something and do something good. If you have to participate in something that is not so good also, sometimes you have to do it because, it is necessary in this society. You have to do that. So, it's not that you cannot do something in public. Of course, you can do in public. You have to live with the society, with the people, with the situations. But the Dharma practice is more from within, by yourself. Of course, if there are people who are also doing the same kind of practice, and then it's also good to discuss with each other and have some time together, like practice together and things like that. That's also good. That's sometimes useful. That's what we call Sangha, because we can influence each other in a positive way, encourage each other, help each other to work for transformation. But if there is nobody, I have to do it. But eventually, it's up to you, Next.
Hello, Rinpoche.
Yeah.
I have a question. Yeah, I have a question. Yesterday, you have talked of samsara as
Yeah.
a deeply afflicted state of mind.
Yeah.
How does that fit with the traditional explanation of samsara as uncontrollably recurring rebirth?
That's the same thing, actually, because, if you are in this, of course, the rebirth is, a person's kind of, it's continuous. If all the causes and conditions there, then next thing happens. And that causes conditions, then next thing happens. So therefore, there's a, like same as anything else, with all the causes, conditions there, then next thing happens. So therefore, it goes on. Yeah. So same thing. The rebirth is just that, the continuation. So that rebirth can be uncontrollable rebirth, or it can be also a little bit controllable rebirth. Yeah. If our mind is totally kind of under the, what can you say, control of the samsaric state of mind, like, like the, negative emotions, and then that will have its effect, and whether you like it or not, you will become like that. If your mind becomes a little bit more free, then there is more chance of yourself having some say, what kind of birth, what kind of things. And that's from Buddhist point of view, whether you are totally, kind of deeply in samsara, or whether you are free, we talked about that you can transform, you can transform. So what we mean by transform means that we can also become free from that uncontrollable kind of, what can you say, cause and effect.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. As anyone else has questions, you can raise your virtual hands or write in the chat. If not, then we can end here for today. So Rinpoche, thank you so much for your precious teachings.
Thank you very much.
And we all hope and pray that we'll be able to host you in person in Israel in the near future.
Hopefully.
Yes.
How is the situation there now?
Oh, now it's more okay.
Okay.
War with Iran has ended. The major bombings have ended. Hopefully, also the situation in Gaza will become better soon.
Oh, great.
Now
Great.
it's much better.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah.
And I also want to thank Bernie and Miriam for your help in making this teaching possible. And thank you all the participants for your attendance and your insightful questions. And before we conclude, I would like to make a brief note. I see that Patricia has a question before we conclude.
Yeah. Where is Patricia? Yes.
Patricia, yes, you can speak. You're unmuted. Patricia?
No.
Oh, okay. You raised your virtual hand.
But you have your hand.
Yes.
Ah, no.
Okay.
Okay. So again, before we conclude, I'd like to make a brief note that all the activities of the Dharma Friends of Israel are sustained purely by your generosity. For anyone who wishes to contribute, you can find the donation details in the chat. I will put them there now. And okay, I'll put them there shortly. It's already there. And for more of Rinpoche's teachings and a rich archive of his past teachings, you can find in his website, bodhichaya.org. I'll put a link also in the chat. And finally, before we really conclude, I will pass it on to Miriam to recite the end dedication prayers. And thank you all. I hope to see you all next time. Miriam, please. Liora, you wanted to? No, also, okay.
There is somebody who is raising a hand.
Yes, yes, she also did it by mistake.
Okay.
Miriam, I cannot hear you. I don't know if others can. I cannot hear you still. Miriam, are you there?
She disappeared.
Is there anyone else here that knows the tune that can lead the prayers?
I can say this in Tibetan, but I cannot.
Oh, yes, I see that Miriam came back. Miriam,
Oh.
unmute.
Okay?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. O sanam di tamche sipani topne ni pe dranam pamchene jegana che balap trupai sipe tsore droa droa sho. הודות למעשה חיובי זה, לו אשיג ידיעת כל, בהכנעת כל האויבים, הרגשות השליליים. לו כל הנסחפים במערבולות הגעש של לידה, זקנה, מחלה ומוות, יחצו וישתחררו מאוקיינוס הקיום. Chanchu Semni Rinpoche, Mache Panam Chejushik, Chepan Yampa Me Padan, Kone Kondu Pelwasho. לו תודעת ההערה העילאית יקרת הערך שטרם נולדה תיוולד, לו זו שנולדה לא תתנוון ותשגה עוד ועוד. Palden mame shapeden padan, kanyam yola de chi jungwadan, dashen malu tsotsa trityane, yodo sanje saraga parsho.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rinpoche. And you all can unmute yourselves if you want to thank Rinpoche. Thank you so much. And we'll see you, hope to see you in Israel very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you. Hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hmm. Ben?
Ben, it's Tammy. Can we dedicate the wonderful teaching to peace and harmony in the Middle East and to the stop of suffering in this area? Then it would be much more, it would be good for my heart, at least.
תודה, תמי. אני חושב שרימפושה כבר עזב את הפגישה,
Good.
אבל בהחלט תודה לך.
תמי,
מה?
ההקדשה היא כוללת, היא לא... היא כוללת את הכל.